Welcome back, everyone, to another presentation up to the time. Today we'll be looking at isometric projection. So this question here that you will see on your right is a question taken from a past CXC paper. And the question presents a wooden block in orthographic projection, and they ask us to produce this in an isometric view, with S being the lowest point. So let me just highlight where S is so that most people will be able to see. This is S, and this is S here. They want that to be the lowest point. Now looking at this, I can see what is the hardest thing to do. And the hardest thing here to do is to create the circle of radius 25. So my strategy is to start with the circle first and just create an isometric circle of radius 25. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. Just going to leave that on the screen, and then I'm going to copy that in when it's convenient. Then the second thing after I've done that, I'll then create the box that all this is in, right? And the dimensions of this rectangular box would be 60 by 140, and the height is 70 going up. Now, I've recognized an error in this drawing and just want to highlight it before we go any further. The distance from this point to here is 60. Cool, no problem. However, they say the distance from this point to here is now 40. How can one be 60 and one be 40, and it's the same distance that they're measuring? So what I interpret this to mean is that the distance from here to here is actually 40, whereas the distance from there to there is actually 60. So the error lies that the dimension line should have stopped here instead of continuing to the end. So that's where the 40 is, and that's where the 60 is. So I just want to highlight that so that if anyone at home is following, they would understand. Okay, now let us proceed. So one of the things that I like doing is setting up my polar tracking. Now my polar tracking is going to be at 30, 60, 90, 120. Once I have that, I then turn it on. I know it's on because the icon turns blue. It's now off, it's now on. All right, let's get going. So I'm going to create a box to put and then create my 25 radius circle in that box. So let's go. So the first thing I need to know is what is half of 25? Half of 25 is 12.5. Yeah. Even if I'm not certain, I'm not embarrassed to come to the calculator and divide 25 by 2. Cool. So it's 12.5. That was just a confirmation. So let's go L, and I'm going to draw a line up 12.5. And I'm going to draw a line across 12.5. Basically, I'm going to create a square of 12.5, right? And this represents 1/4. What I'm going to do with this square, I'm just going to copy it. There, to there, and then to there. So we actually have the isometric box that we are going to create our circle of radius 25 in. But before I go any further, let me just check the dimensions. That's 25, as it should be. That's 25, as it should be. So everything is all good. I'll leave these dimensions here so that everyone would be able to understand the process. These into dimension layers. Perfect. Good now. Now what's next? The next thing is to draw a line through the longest diagonal. Longest diagonal starts here. It goes to here. That's the longest diagonal. So a line is drawn through there. Then we got to do work now with shorter diagonals. Here. And from this short diagonal to there. Now when we get to this stage, we now need to identify the points that we need. The first point is a point that is going to be here on the long. I change my point settings so that everyone can see these clearly. My first 2 points. My other 2 points, one would be here, one would be there. What I'm going to do is place the points into a different layer so that you can see them. Text layer. Now, trying to create the isometric circle. I've seen some people create this circle using arcs, but I don't have full mastery over this tool. So I tend to stay away from it and just work with what I know. So I go to circle. Yeah, circle here, and I go circle, center, radius. All right. So let's go. Open up a circle, and this is a boundary point here at this edge, or I could have used this edge here. Doesn't matter, either this edge point here or that edge. That's a boundary. Go over to the opposite end, open up, see for circle if you're using a shortcut, and this is the edge here. Again, I could have used this edge to the north or this edge to the east. Now, the last 2 points, I'm going to come here at this point, open up the circle, and I'm trying to join these 2 circles. So I'm going to attach my circle here, which spans over to here, creating an arc. Do the same at the opposite end. Circle, and we're trying to attach this circle to make a tangent to here, to there. Okay, so my circle is joined. My isometric circle, all I need to do now is trim. I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave the circle inside this box, right? Like I said, I don't need this circle at the moment, just producing it so that when I am ready for it, it's there. That's my isometric circle. I will place the circle into outline so that everyone circle clearly. Right. So that's the circle of radius 25. Wait, hold on, let me just make sure that I've done this correctly. No, I haven't done this correctly. Why haven't I done this correctly? Because I have that the diameter is 25 and it should really and truly be the radius. You all at home recognize that. Now, hold on. There's an easy way we can fix this. We can scale this, right? We can scale this. It takes another, we can scale this. So let's see if I can get the scale easily rather than having to reproduce this whole thing. So I grab that and I click there at my scale base point, and I am going to scale up to a factor of 2. Yeah. So what does that mean? We increase by 2. So 25 multiplied by 2 is 50. All right. Which then means that this there is 25. All right. Which should then equal to be the radius. So if you did what I did, which was to create a circle using the wrong dimensions, at the end of the day, you can just scale it up once you have recognized the error. All right. and scale that up there. Now let's just move on now to creating this box. So I'm going to grab this here and place it into the corner here. Let's do this box now. So this box is 140 going in this direction. Then we go up. It says 70. Then we come back there, 140. 16. Then what we do is we grab this, over there, and we can connect this line to here, and that line. So this is our isometric box that everything would fit inside this box. The whole shape that we're trying to achieve would be in this box. Right? So let's get going and let's start. So what's the next part of the strategy now? So now we've done that, we need to create this face, this profile here. I'm going to start creating that on this face here, despite that not all of it is going to be reflected on this front face. You'll see what I mean. This first part here that I'm going to highlight is going to be in front, and then the rest are going to be in the back. Why do I say that? Because this piece here relates right to here, and then there is a point where this whole thing is recessed. This portion is recessed. There's an arrow to show that. And this one here is at the front. So I'll put an F here for this, and then this one here is recessed. So if we just come out here and try to represent on this drawing, this is the front here. And this portion in the back here, which I have in green, that there is the recessed bit. Right? I hope everyone can see that and understand that. That there is going to be recessed. Let me draw it, and perhaps everyone should understand this now after I've completed this drawing, or while I'm creating this drawing, you should probably understand. So this comes at 20. Let's go to 20. So now that I have my construction lines, I'm going to be drawing with my outline now, so that you can see as I draw over the construction. So this goes at 20. This goes across 20. And this goes at 20 again. And then this goes across 20. Now, this is where our circle is inserting, and the distance from here is 65. So this goes across 65, right? 65, and it goes up somewhere here. So our circle is going to be smacked right in here. But before we get to that, how are we going to figure out where the center is? So that is the center right here. How did I arrive at that? If we know that the distance from here to there is 65, which is also the distance from there to there, which is 65. And I already have this distance of 20 plus 20, which is 40. What about if I were to draw a line right here over, and then I pull down at this intersecting point here, which is this. This needs to be an axis point for my circle. So I'll put their axis, AX, IS. That's the axis point here. Or we know that the axis is going to be on this line. Even if it's not at this point, it is somewhere on this line going back. If we were to pull this all the way back, it's somewhere on that red line. That is our axis point there. So what I'm going to do is just going to place a point there now. This point. Now, what else can I do at this stage? We do know that this shape, this recessed bit only comes out 40 here. So what does that mean? We measure the distance from here out 40, and we find where that ends. To there. So let us do that now. This comes out here. And we know this comes out here 40. So we just leave that like very loose right now at this stage, right? And what else can we do now before we actually get to putting in these circles? Well, one thing that you'll realize is that this profile is going to go back. So I can grab this profile here. So let me select this and let me copy it now, right? Copy that over to here. Yep, good. Alpha line, connect that to that. Alpha line, connect that to that. Alpha line, there to there. There to there. All right, now. Let that remove. We're now going to place this into my center layer because this is an axis line. So I'm just going to identify that as a center line. And somewhere on that center line is where my circle is going to be. So one thing I do know is that my circle is going to also be on the recess bit, that is recess 40. So my circle is going to appear on two faces. It's going to appear on this face here. You will see it on this edge. And then it's also going to appear on this face too. You see it on there. This is an interesting little puzzle, but let us solve it. So let us use this and go back. And let us come from here and come out 40 and see where our 40 puts us. So if I come down here, let me go on to a different layer. Now, start at this point, and I'm going to come out 40. Right track, 40. Okay. So that means if I come out 40 there, I can bring this up, and then this is where my 40 would be. But this is the golden point. All right. Seeing that we have that established, I can then pull this back to here. And of course, this would be center line as well. So now at this stage, I think we can start inserting our circle and can start tidying up this joint. This is where we'll come over here. But the circle is already created. I'm grabbing all four parts of the circle and I'm going to copy it. I need to copy this and I'm going to grab it at center. So I'm going to use my center as my base point. Snap, got it. And I'm going to place it in right here at this center. Snap. Then I'm also going to place it in right here at the front. Or should I start with it at the front? I'm going to start with it at the front and then place it in the back so it's not to confuse anyone. Right. Start with it at the front. Now, certain bits need to be trimmed, as you can see. So what needs to be trimmed? So let's clear the drawing. This bit here needs to be trimmed off. Let me use red or white. This needs to be trimmed off. This part of the circle needs to be trimmed as well. So the only thing that remains in the circle is this bit here, around here, right? Everything else needs to be trimmed. Let's do that now first before we get confused. Trim. 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 So far, so good. So what does this mean? This means that this whole face needs to be extruded back. Double line. This is going to go back. And what we can do is we can copy and see, would you see this back here? Now these two lines will connect and form one right here. If you pull from this point, not a problem. It just means that it trims that and it trim this back here. I'm just trimming quickly because I want to get to the more important bits. Now, when this goes back here, what about here? This arc needs to also go back to here. Agree? Yeah. We need to trim that here because we're not going to see that after. Actually, no. We're not going to see this at all. Now to come to think of it. So I can remove that. I hope everyone understood why I removed that. You're not going to see that when this drawing is finished. Now, we now need to move on to the other part. And the other part is to get the circle here at this axis point. And let's go over here. So we grab the circle again. Copy. Always copy so you can always have your original circle, just in case something goes wrong. And I'm trimming because certain parts we don't need it. I think I got everything that I need. Now, goes back to here. And that means this. You set up the line where this is going to fall. Let me trim. Trim. One, two. That's all that I need. And I move it to this point and I place it. What does this mean? This means that certain bits I now need to trim because they're going to be going into the material and they're going to be hidden. And so far, so good. So this is what the shape would look like if someone is at home following me. Pull this down. Yeah. And again, this goes down 70. When we get here at 70, you pull this back to this point here. You can just pull it through the drawing so that you can make sure it's on the green chop line. And then you can trim. I always find that easier to pull lines through the joint and then trim them at the point. So this comes out to here. Yep. And then this comes out to there. Yep. I think that this joint is finished. We just check a few things. So this joint is finished, and what I can do is turn off my construction layers and let's have a look at the finished product. That's it there. So this is the isometric projection of the wooden block. But before we close off this session, let me just dimension. So I'm going to go over to my dimension layers and start dimensioning this. I always advise my students to dimension. Dimensioning gets you marks. Got 70. And you're going to see me use aligned dimension, especially for angles like here. I use a line, that's 140. And what else is this? This one is 60. Yeah. That is 60, that is 70, that is 140. And then lastly, I need to give the radius of the circle. It's going to work like that because this is an isometric circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this radius, which is the correct radius of how we construct the circle, but I need to let my audience know that this is radius 25. I hope everyone understood why we couldn't use radius that appeared there. I had to change it to 25. All right, so everything is in position. You can see the face that has been recessed. I'm going to just hatch it so that everyone can see that's the recessed face there, meaning the face has been pushed back. And this face now is the forward face. The face, no, this is the face in the top, sorry, in front. Okay. Yeah. And I think that this drawing is finished. And let me label it. And I'm going to save and call it a day. Label is going to call construction circle. That shows the examiner that I understand how to create a construction circle. And down here, I'm going to label this isometric wooden. So I have my labels, I have my dimensions, I have my construction lines, and I have my outlines. And I have this all in the title block, and that now is finished. So this brings us to the end of another presentation. We created this wooden block based off of this CXC question that was given. I hope everyone was able to better understand this now, or I hope you were able to follow and keep up to the pace that I was going at. If not, you can always pause this video and rewind and take it in baby steps, right, to get through. Now, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as usual, I encourage students to practice this until it becomes second nature to you at this stage. Take care. I am out for now.